Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy DC coming back with another bullseye of a video here today on the channel. Let's look how to get the perfect auto-tune sound using Waves Retune and a bunch of different tricks I like to use. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Support the channel by checking the website, grabbing some of the free presets I keep uploading. You missing out. And don't forget to support the channel, book a mix, check out the plugin presets, the mastering presets, the courses or whatever. And let's just get to it right now.
I've been killing this shit, I've been stacking it up to the ceiling this shit. Pop me a bean, I'm feeling that shit. Feel like a dream, but I'm living this shit. Feeling like Rafa Quintero. I'm moving that way for dinero. I told that little bitch hasta luego. She told me she don't wanna let go. Back in that mode, I've been killing.
All right, so you hear what we're rocking with today. Most important thing with the Waves Retune or any auto tune, to me, the settings are always like irrelevant. I'm listening to the actual texture. If I want something to be more scratchy like a cat scratch post, I'm obviously have more aggressive auto tune settings. If I want something that's a little bit smoother, I'm obviously gonna use weaker auto tune settings. But that's not necessarily for me how much auto tune I want, but the texture, just the feeling of the auto tune. Some rappers have like a rubber ducky, quacky, or rubber elasticy style auto tune sound. And that's more just like a texture, you feel me? So always think about the texture more than the sound, right? Because sometimes the sound can let you down. It can sound good, but it don't feel right for the flow of the rapper. So here's the most important thing for me is I like to use a little bit of tape saturation to smooth out the edges of my auto tune, all right?
I've been killing this shit, I've been stacking. Get one of a kind, it ain't no one like this. In this life shit, yeah, you gotta take risks. If you finna make a move, you gotta make it big. Shawty on my line saying she wanna be mine. Hit it one time, now she losing her mind. Everything that I be doing, babe, I do it big. Everything that I be doing, bitch, I do it big. Make it count big, my ambition's real big. And this dick big, she gon' tell me it don't fit. Gotta go slow, how you get to the top. Make it climax, make it love.
The most important thing with the Saturn II for me, you see we got gentle saturation in some places, but for the most part, I like to use the tape because the tape is gonna round off the transients. The key to getting a really good auto-tune sound is also understanding your pinche waveform, okay? Because look at how consistent my waveform is. That's just because I recorded with the UAD interface, but also when I was recording him, I was like riding the gain too on the fader knob. So that's why like my performance is very consistent, and that's another good way to get really good auto tune too, because auto tune is based on a frequency. It's frequency modulation. So sometimes if you have too much level or the rappers rapping in different ways, where maybe one take has more low end than the other or high end, that's another thing that's gonna fuck up the auto tune and make it not sound crystal clear and professional. Another thing for me too is like getting rid of that a little bit of that super low girth, that belly fat on the auto tune style vocal, and I like to use the soothe for that.
Get one of a kind, it ain't no one like this. In this life shit, yeah, you gotta take risks. If you finna make a move, you gotta make it big. Shawty on my line saying she wanna be mine. Hit it one time, now she losing her mind. Everything that I be doing, babe, I do it big. Everything that I be doing, bitch, I do it big. Make it count big, my ambition's real big. And this dick big, she gon' tell me it don't fit. Gotta go slow, how you get to the top. Make it climax, making love on a yacht. Got some raising cans, we don't need 5 stars. Said it got swag, but ain't nothing like ours. Pulling strings, Jimi Hendrix, I'm a rock star. Took off on a happy pill, now I got a lot of job.
All right, so it's just a situation where that low mid resonance is when a lot of times that's where most energy is at, like this low mid over here. You see how like with this as well, I'm going for a texture, a skimpy auto tune, a auto tune that needs to get put on a bulk and not a cut, not the type of auto tune that really needs to put on some size. So that's why I cut off a lot of fucking low end just to make that auto tune sound like that super modern mainstream scrappy style auto tune, and then bringing back a little bit of the low end using saturation. That's another technique too that you can use. All right. So understanding the frequencies within the vocal, what are you going for, is how you get that professional auto tune sound. Another thing for the auto tune mentality, obviously, when you got background vocals, for me personally, you got to make a choice. What's going to have more auto tune? I know some people like to drag and drop and like to make it all the same auto tune, but for me, you have an ability to create depth by having more auto tune on the background vocals or having less auto tune on the background vocals, depending on how you want to go about it. Personally, here, I think on the ad libs, I went with less, and I wanted my lead vocal to be cranked up a little bit more. So, like, this is what's in front, and this is what's super auto tuney, and everything in the back has its own space because of the amount of pitch that it has. You can see a difference. Like I put 3 teaspoons of sugar. One is brown sugar, one is white sugar, the other one is like grain or cane or whole sugar. And just because you see 3 different styles of sugar, even though they're all auto-tuned vocals, you can see a little bit difference and you feel depth.
Get one of a kind, it ain't no one like this. In this life shit, yeah, you gotta take risks. If you make it big, be mine. Hit it one time, now she losing her mind. Everything that I be doing, babe, I do it big. Everything that I be doing, bitch, I do it big. Make it count big, my ambition's real big. And this dick big, she gon' tell me it don't fit. Gotta go slow, how you get to the top. Make it climax, making love on a yacht. Got some raisin canes, we don't need 5 stars. Said it got swag, but ain't nothing like ours. Pulling strings, Jimi Hendrix, I'm a rock star. Took off on a happy pill, now I got lockjaw. I'm rolling like the ocean, this shit poetry and motion.
So we find ourselves in a predicament instantly right there where we're also using modulation. For example, the auto tune for the lead vocal is steady, but the auto tune on the background vocals is moving around. So that's how you get a pro sound too, because rather than having all the auto tune trying to come through and catch a Uber all at the same time, they're all trying to stuff themselves into one Uber. You got separate cars coming to pick up the auto tune because this auto tune is like, oh yeah, my car is driving sideways. It's going across avenue to avenue because it's got a little bit of modulation. It's got a reverb that has a little bit of modulation behind it as well, right? So that helps you differentiate the auto tune, right? That's how you make the song feel like it has more auto tune than what it has, because every auto tune has its place in the track. All right, then you have the ends, okay, the stabs or whatever. Yeah, these are a little bit more stagnant because they have a L1 limiter on it that's pushing it back harder.
I'm feeling that shit. Feel like a dream, but I'm living this shit. Feeling like Rafa Quintero. I'm moving that way for dinero. I told that little bitch hasta luego. She told me she don't wanna let go. Back in that mode, I've been killing this shit. I've been stacking it up to the ceiling and shit. Pop me a bean, I'm feeling that shit. Feel like a dream, but I'm living this shit. Feeling like Rafa Quintero. I'm moving that way for dinero. I told that little bitch hasta luego. She told me she don't wanna let go. I'm knowing I'm hard to forget.
And then adding something like a little bit of a doubler. Okay, that's gonna fuck around and detune the auto tune, like using a little bit of like this micro shift. It's like ram, ram, ram. It kind of adds a more of a detuning effect to the auto tune, and it also makes it wider at the same time. All right, so this is something important too about the auto tune is I like to a lot of times I like to use high shelves nowadays. But before I used to filter off the super, super, super top on the auto tune to prevent the like I want to take out that sound and really just have that shit be warm and sit into a pocket. You feel me? So that's another move that I used to do a lot back in the days. Is I used to like put like a super, super filter at the top. That's not gonna make the vocal darker, but just makes the auto tune feel more concentrated.
I've been killing this shit. I've been stacking it up to the ceiling and shit. Pop me a bean, I'm feeling that shit. Feel like a dream, but I'm living this shit. Feeling like Rafa Quintero. I'm moving that way for dinero. I told that little bitch hasta luego. She told me she don't wanna let go. Back in that mode, I've been killing this shit. I've been stacking it up to the ceiling and shit. Pop me a bean, I'm feeling that shit. Feel like a dream, but I'm living this shit. Feeling like Rafa Quintero.
Because for the most part, a lot of the energy of the auto tune is right here, 2, 3, 4, 5K. That's where you like all of this other shit right here will be tuned, but that's not gonna make a difference, and that's not something that you're really gonna hear. Like that tuning on the low, mid, and you're not really gonna hear that. Most of the character of auto tuning, the texture is in the upper mid range. So with a basic EQ move like this, just kind of pushing it, but then focusing it off with a filter is perfect to really get that concentrated 100% orange juice auto tune style sound. And of course, like a pretty basic technique too is to use like even more auto tune on the delays. That's something I did not do on this song, but that's something I do a lot. Where maybe like I have these 2 delays. I have a quarter note, I have an eighth note. I make the eighth note wider, right? Because I have 2 delays, a lot of shit is going on in the song. So I'm like, oh yeah, fuck it. Add a fucking auto tune to this one to help it stand out on its own.
hard to forget. One of a kind, it ain't no one like this. In this life shit, yeah, you gotta take risks. If you finna make a move, you gotta make it big. Shawty on my line saying she wanna be mine. Hit it one time, now she losing her mind. Everything that I be doing, babe, I do it big. Everything that I be doing, bitch, I do it big. Make it count big, my ambition's real big. And this dick big, she gon' tell me it don't fit. Gotta go slow, how you get to the top. Make it.
So just by doing that, okay, you see I have two delays playing at the same exact time underneath the vocal. I don't know why I did that on this track, but I got literally two delays. So to help these vocal delays not cancel out, add some modulation, add the auto tune to it. So like, oh, I can hear like there's more depth than what there really is there. All right, now you can hear both of the two styles of delay. So this is pretty much the end of the video here today. I just wanted to show off all the gems that I like to do. Oh my God, I can't believe I showed off all my gems today here on different ways I like to take advantage of waves tune specifically. You know, how it's more about just the settings, but the feeling that you're gonna bring and how to sprinkle it all through a track to get the auto tune to not be annoying and feel good. So don't forget to grab a free preset because on my website we got a bunch of free presets. And check out the mastering presets, the courses, the plugin presets, or book a mix to support the channel. If you guys feel like I supported you. All right, see you guys next time. Peace.